What's up? Hey, did you notice that Dr. Seuss recently had a bunch of books pulled from his catalog? You cannot find, I think it's 5 or 6 books. We're going to look at them in a minute and see what the issue is. Apparently, cancel culture has come for Dr. Seuss in the form of, these are books that sell millions of copies. Well, I don't know millions, but they sell a lot of copies every year. This is not like a small decision on the Seuss estate. But I guess they decided that it's better to have Dr. Seuss's reputation somewhat intact rather than have these titles out there. So they've decided to pull them all together from the market. It's kind of amazing. So let's look at the actual art that has prompted this 1984ing of Dr. Seuss's books. Dr. Seuss's very first book, and to think I saw it on Mulberry Street, taken out of his catalog. Why? A Chinese man who eats with sticks. What? First off, a lot of people in Asia eat with sticks. So I think that's I don't think that's like an insult, is it? That's like saying like a person in America that eats with a fork. So is it just the image that he's wearing at least they didn't say Chinaman, it says Chinese man. I guess the hat, is that like the thing, or is it the shoes? I don't know. I've seen people in Asia that have not looked too dissimilar from this. I'm not saying that all people in Asia look like this by any means, but I think a lot of old books like this, they would have people around the world, and they would always be wearing like people in Norway would be dressed all ridiculously Norwegian, and people in Africa would be dressed in like loincloths and have spears. Yeah, it was probably over the top and very stereotypical, but it was trying to make a point that people around the world dressed differently and acted differently. Well, whatever reason, they decided to. What about this 10-foot beard guy? What about the beard community? Maybe they were upset. Who knows? Anyways, this is what got it pulled. The next one from If I Ran the Zoo, and another Asian one in which not too dissimilar from the other guys, except they're not wearing the hats, but they do have the same shoes. This is apparently Dr. Seuss's image of Asian shoes. Or is it the bamboo cage? Or is it the fact that there's like some white kid on top of it all, just running the zoo? And I don't know. What do you guys think? Well, I think my whole attitude on this is that I don't think you should change it, and I don't think you should make it unavailable, because people obviously still want to read these, because I think most of these books have been in print since they were published and are still very popular. But I think maybe a better solution would be to perhaps put a disclaimer and some information at the front. I've talked about this before in my review of Song of the South, the Disney movie. I'm not for changing the past, and I'm not for making things unavailable. I think you should just put information, provide context. Next one from Scrambled Eggs Super. Who knew that a book about eggs could be so controversial? So some friends near Fazol, which is 10 miles or so just beyond the North Pole. First off, I don't think anyone's living up in the North Pole now. It's all water now. So I guess the controversial issue here is that they don't want kids to get confused about it being cold up in the North Pole because climate change. Now I'm guessing this probably has to do with some kind of, let's see what it says. I have this article that I open about it. The article says that there's a young protagonist boasting about the increasingly rare eggs he would source for breakfast. I love that. Including that of the Mount Struku cuckoo, for which he would enlist the help of a beturbant helper. Where's the beturbant helper? I don't know if we see it in this picture, but I guess turbans are out. It seems to be mainly clothing choices. You're not allowed to, apparently Dr. Seuss or whoever is editing these books now decides that we don't want people to dress differently. I don't know, I feel like this one's, if this is the image, this is pretty unnecessary to remove. Then the next one, McGilligan's Pool. This is Eskimo fish. So I guess, again, it comes down to clothing choices. This seems to be I guess in the past, it seems like, the people, I don't know if Eskimo is the right term anymore, but, the people, they probably dressed pretty warmly. Then in Ambient Zebra, we have this guy, apparently meant to be some fellow from the Middle East. He's called the Nazim of Bazim. A lot of this seems to be coming down to, like, I don't know, I think a lot of these clothing choices, like, by taking these books away, you're kind of, in some sense, saying that these clothing choices are bad or not allowed, or obviously everybody in this region or these regions of the world doesn't have to dress like this, but when you take away these books, you're kind of sending the message that there's something wrong with dressing like this. Cultures have been stealing from each other as long as there have been cultures, so I think, we should just all absorb everybody else's culture and not, like, just think about it, how interesting it is. I love the color on this, the camel, the blue, the red and the blue. That looks cool, but I don't know, what's the issue? These pants are cool. I could wear these. And just to provide some context, here is, now this in a children's book. I see again. This is Dr. Seuss. He did some very. The perspective is clearly from the white world, like seeing Asians as the other. So this is a illustration that he did during World War II, I believe. Let's see. I can't read the copyright. It's too blurry. But this was, I believe, during World War II, to show that, like, Japanese people were just waiting to destroy America from within. And this led to things like, Japanese internment camps, which were obviously not great. I don't think most children are going to be seeing these illustrations. These are available in other books, like showing Dr. Seuss's other work. But Seuss himself will later change his perspective and kind of make amends for it. But I think, just hiding this from history is kind of hiding the fact that these things are a process that Dr. Seuss can learn from it, and that, just striking it from the record altogether is kind of creating a world that doesn't exist and has never existed, and we need to acknowledge that, that just provide context. I think that's the role of the documenter of these things, is to provide context and give that context meaning so that we can see, yes, I mean, you can look in Shakespeare, you can look in whatever in the past, and there's like things that nowadays we would like shy away from, but we don't need to whitewash history. So that's my perspective. What do you guys think? Should Dr. Seuss just have all the pages ripped out of his books and thrown in the fire, or should he be allowed to roam the library shelves to be absorbed by a new generation? Tell me what you think in the comments below.